Hey rally besties, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're well. Today is going to be a Q&A video where I've asked all of you guys on my Instagram questions. Ask me questions, and I have a bunch on my phone, and literally I'm not kidding when I say all these questions are gold. You guys ask the best questions, so literally I hope you guys watch the whole video because every single question is so amazing, and thank you all who participated in this mini Q&A. However, if you guys don't know, I'm in the Netherlands right now. Hello, hi. I still can't believe it. I adore the Netherlands so much. So a lot of these questions are going to be updates as well on my travels. I also did travel to Japan. I have a vlog coming out in a couple of days. Go check that out. I'm so excited for that vlog. And I've literally missed you guys so much because I haven't filmed in like 2 weeks or something. But let's not make this intro too long and get on to the questions that everyone asked me on Instagram. Okay, so the first question is, what gave you the idea for Ghost Side? And this is an amazing question. I've gotten this question a lot and I've explained it quite a couple of times, but if you guys don't know, I got my idea for my debut novel Ghost Side that's hopefully coming out this year. I got the idea when I was literally just walking home one night and I was really tired. I was walking down my home street and my home street's extremely wide, so a lot of the cars are parked on either side of the road on the curb, and I was just a little bit delirious, as you get when you're really tired on the way home from school. And I just remember looking into one of the cars, and in the front seat I just imagined a ghost boy grinning back at me. And of course that's Ned in the book, and that's just how I got the idea basically. It's pretty interesting way to imagine a book idea. And then I remember just like throughout the next couple of days I just evolved this idea of like, oh my gosh, maybe there's these ghost boys and they're like a gang and they kind of like do weird stuff and like risky stuff at night, like driving cars and rob candy stores, and that's how the story really progressed. And if you guys don't know, Red is literally me, so that's how the book was created. They did also ask about my other stories, and I have a whole video about this, I believe. Go in the iCard if you guys want to check out that, where I go into a lot of detail. I think it's a podcast episode where I talk about how I got the ideas for all of my novels and everything like that. Click there. Next up, I have a question from my bestie Tiana. I love you, Tiana. Love you. Hope to see you soon. But this question is the favorite thing about the Netherlands so far and favorite thing about Japan. So of course, I've been traveling a lot. My favorite thing about the Netherlands is honestly the trees. I adore the trees so much. They're so pretty. And like the thing about Australia is we don't really have seasons. So coming here and seeing the rain and, you know, the cold and the bare trees, it's something so beautiful to me. So I adore the trees, and of course all the houses. The houses here are adorable. We did a lot of driving with me and my aunt, and I just adored looking at the flat plains and these beautiful houses and the rows of houses. Ugh, it's the reason why I came here, because of the houses and how they looked. So everything like that I adore about the Netherlands. Japan, it's actually the same exact thing, because me and Damon, who I traveled with, we asked each other like, what's our favorite thing about Japan? And he said Mount Fuji, and I said the parks, because we lived in Ueno, and Ueno Park was just so beautiful. And again, the trees are one of my favorite part about Japan and here. So I love trees. Okay. Someone asked, how many projects am I working on? I have a video coming out talking really in depth with all the projects, so if you want to like know about all my projects, you watch that video. So whenever I talk about it, I'm gonna reference that video, which is in the editing process. I'm technically working on 6 projects. I did recently do a actual Instagram post. If you guys haven't followed me on Instagram, please do. I do these amazing writing posts, but I talked really in depth about that, and also kind of convinced you guys to read my projects based off quotes from the book, and I'll put a few here on the screen so you can check that out. But I really adored that post and worked so hard in it and adored it so much. So yeah, I think 6 projects are my main projects. Let's do a run off right now. So Ghost Side, obviously, which is the debut novel. I have Project Orchestra, which is a historical fiction. I have The Lost City of Zeal, which is a high fantasy. I have Project BB, which is a fantasy. I have Project Prison, which is a prison escape story, mystery. Then I also have Project Samson, which is a post-apocalyptic dystopian. I do have a couple more, which I have really like shelved mostly, and these 6 projects are the projects that I'm continually kind of keeping in mind and hopefully working to publish. I do have a secret project that I'm not going to talk about yet because it's my baby and I don't want to talk about it, okay? But it's a fantasy book and I think it might be the book of my heart. I didn't tell you that. This next question is something I really want to do a full podcast on. There's a couple podcasts I've been really wanting to create, or maybe just a main channel video, but that is, do you ever get doubts about your book? If so, how do you overcome them? And this is such a good question, such a valid point, y'all. Doubt is something you will inevitably come to terms with, and actually it gets pretty bad, guys. I think the longer you're in the craft of writing, the worse your doubt gets, because you get more alone and you get more sort of in depth and sort of knee deep into your stories, that sometimes it's harder to have that objectivity of saying that you will, improve and you're doing fine, and that self-doubt really just enroots in your craft as you're writing. When I started editing Ghost Side, I definitely had a huge mental block where I just could not get over how bad my writing was and how, sort of conscious I was about my book. And when I explain it to people now, it is a little bit scary, like especially to strangers or new friends I make. I'm just like, yeah, it's a ghost story about 4 ghost boys meeting a girl. And to me, that sounds really childish. So I've really struggled with my books being, like, I feel like it's very childish, and the sort of language I've used is very mediocre. When I think about authors like Franz Kafka, I think of these like huge stories with this huge metaphor. It's very like philosophical and very deep and high. Like, you gotta be like, sometimes I don't even understand the books, and that's the sort of book I want to write. But with something like Ghost Side, it seems like a very simple story that just seems fun on the face of it, like 4 ghost boys chilling with a girl. But really it is deep rooted. So I think like realizing you're doing what you want to be, like you're doing and writing the book that you want to be the author of. And I think even if this isn't the book that you're currently writing, that is the book, you will get there. And I think the main thing I need to keep reminding myself is that you simply just need to keep creating to get better at the craft. I think the biggest, most practical tip I can give just quickly is making other people read your work and editing your story through critique. Critique for me was really hard, and of course that's why self-doubt really did creep in with me with Project Ghost. But of course I got over that, and I ended up actually really enjoying the editing process and seeing my story evolve, not just through the writing but the actual plot and the story. And really deep stuff, like deep work, I think is the best way you can get over that, by just focusing on your passion. I don't know if I even said anything to help with that, but I hope that helps. Someone did ask tips for querying, and I remember reading this and just being like, my tip is good luck. If you guys don't know, I have a whole querying vlog about my process. I don't even want to think about it. There's another question that's coming up that kind of alludes to my hostility towards the traditional publishing route, and just the book market right now, but we're going to get into that later. Practical tips for querying is that patience is going to be your biggest virtue. Like, it's not even funny how you don't know what is happening and you can't pretend to, really. And I think a lot of other author tubers who've gone through the querying process, I don't know how strong, like they're so strong to be able to do that, because even just querying, like, number 1, you got to finish a book. Number 2, you got to query and wait for like years sometimes, unless you're lucky. And then you got to like go on submission. And it's just like, when do you actually end up publishing the book? And to me, of course, that's why I ended up pursuing self-publishing, because that time I could be using to perfect my book. Not perfect, but, work on my book. Instead, I'll be focusing on querying this book and wasting energy and just being so fed up with the world and my work and all this doubt. I just could not deal with that energy. So I did query for 3 months. But yeah, I don't really have any practical tips because I didn't really query for that long, but really just good luck. That's all I can really say. I also do have another video talking about like watch this before querying, go watch that if you want. Another question which was really, really good, it talked about what project other than Project Ghost are you close to finishing? And I guess this means close to publishing, question mark. I really don't have any other project, to be honest, close. I guess I would say Project BB, like that is the sort of book that I think I would like to try to query, not query or self-publish or whatever. Other than that, Project O is quite a good story. I had a freak out. If you guys don't know, I actually deleted a whole book. Yeah, I did. I really did delete a whole draft. Project Prison, which has been my baby for like a year. Oh, I can't believe I freaking... I think about this every day. Google Docs, I don't trust Google Docs anymore. Don't use Google Docs because for some reason I was like on a plan and they deleted it. I remember not deleting it and I swear I downloaded it. I didn't download it and Google Doc just deleted my whole manuscript. So I lost that whole story. Anyways, what I was talking about, Project O is also a book I'm kind of close to finishing. I would definitely want to self-publish this book, but it has a lot of work still to do, to be done. Next question is how to write elegantly. This was such an interesting question and I love how simple it is because it is not a simple answer. I don't know how to write elegantly. I don't think I write particularly elegantly. I am obsessed with purple prose, yet I'm not a very good writer because a lot of my projects don't suit that. That's why I was really excited to write Project O because it's a lot more older English. It's set in the 1800s. It's a historical fiction, so I'm able to kind of dive into those sort of languages. But how to write elegantly, I think maybe writing poetry might help a lot and reading a lot and actually proactively thinking about ways to represent things like feelings, objects, people. I think talking in metaphors, I wish I could talk in metaphors, is something that's really, really good and helpful to when, to show that you can write elegantly and write in a way that is very peculiar, unique, but also very pretty. So I think if you just spend time outside, if you think about pretty things and ways to represent them through words, whether that be writing more poetry, reading a lot more books where there's purple prose, that's the way to do it. And that's hopefully what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to read a lot more, especially Franz Kafka. Franz Kafka. I've been reading a lot of his work and I'm afraid it's going to make me depressed, but it's not. It's going to make my brain big, okay? So that's my goal. I want to become a reader. And I went to this bookstore. Oh, it's such a cute bookstore. Sorry, I'm just freaking out. It's right next to my law class. And oh my gosh, there's like a whole wall of classics and they're all in English. And the self-control I had not to buy at least 3 books from that shelf. It would have been like 40 euros. But I'll be back. I will be back. That's a quite good segue into this next question, which is, do you want to study law? You know me too well. Why did you ask that question? Yeah, this is a hard question to answer. There's a lot of different people who study law either to earn money or they didn't know what the heck to do or their parents told them to. And I have kind of shared a little bit about this and how my parents really encouraged me to do law. It's not that I hate law. Law is quite interesting. I think it's definitely inspirational sometimes and not as, black and white than I thought. I feel like there's some creativity in law that I really do appreciate. When I do exams, for example, I feel like I'm Sherlock Holmes and developing arguments and having this sort of, not higher knowledge, but this sort of type of knowledge to understand law as a language is something so cool to me. So I actually have some sort of pride sometimes when I explain to my dad or my friends about how to, prove for murder provocation. I kind of like that. And a lot of my favorite authors, like Franz Kafka, were lawyers. And I think law is the most suitable thing to do. And it's also a big safety net because when I tell people I study law, but then I say, but I want to be a writer, that's usually what I say. And I mean, I don't mind studying law. Yes, I'm paying for it and I'll be like 150K in debt. No, I don't want to be a lawyer, but maybe I will. I mean, look at the way the world's going, to be honest. Like, it's so expensive to live. So maybe I will literally need to become a lawyer if this writing gig does not work out, which seems quite predictable. Is that the right word? I don't know. Anyways, That's my answer. Next question is, how have your travels influenced or affected your writing? Which is quite a relevant question because I've been traveling, obviously, and writing. I haven't written too much. I don't know if it's really changed the way that I write. I've definitely been inspired to write new sort of things. I think the Gothic architecture here, especially in the Netherlands, has been so cool. And or like driving throughout the plains, I had this very vivid short story that I might share on my Instagram. I've yet to actually write it, but it's quite a morbid story about a girl digging up her sister. That's really morbid, actually. Not digging up, digging a grave for her sister. That's the story. And yeah, that's been really inspiring me to write more like shorter stuff, I think. In terms of editing, I feel like Project Ghost, I don't know, it's hard to like change because I'm just editing the story. But I think patience is something I've been really trying to focus on. So patience with like even traveling or waiting for the bus has helped me be more patient with my own writing. And I guess that's the only really thing that's changed. But I think as I go on to actually start writing new projects, like that secret project I was talking about, I feel like that is when I'll see a big difference. But I'll get back to you when that happens. Somebody did ask, when is Ghost Side coming out? I'm so excited. I'm so glad you're excited. Literally, every single time I see a comment or someone like says, hey, so excited for this book, I die inside a little bit because I'm just like, oh my gosh, people actually want to read Ghost Side. I don't know when it's coming out. My goal is to have it done by, like, it's definitely in the next half of the year because I want to be at home when I do my book launch. Oh my gosh, your book launch, y'all, I'm so excited. And then that's when I can also, I don't know if y'all would want some signed copies. I don't even know my signature. Like, should I practice that? I know a lot of like writers manifest through practicing their signature, but let me know if you want a signed copy of my book. And of course, it's a lot easier to do at home than in Europe, you know, so I can like actually have a place. But we will see. Maybe I'll finish this book earlier or maybe later, but I definitely want to publish it this year because I'm going to be turning 20 and I think that's quite a big year. And another reason why is because if I don't publish this book this year, I don't think I'll ever publish it. So it's kind of like, you know, when you're starting to do something like, I don't know, you're about to jump off a cliff into water, and you kind of run up. And if you don't do it the first time, you start to double think. Yep, you get it. So that's what I'm afraid of, but I'm sure it'll be fine. But thank you so much for being excited. Go to my Instagram. Sorry, I keep doing the plug on my Instagram, but go to my Instagram because I have so much content on Ghost Side. Okay, this is a weird question. This person asked, bestie, asked, how is the love life? Non-existent. Actually, last night I was journaling and I'm just like, I need a man in my life. Like, I don't need a boy, I need a man. And I was just I was just journaling how much I wanted a meet cute because I'm like, I'm overseas, I'm alone, I'm not pretty, never mind. I feel like there's a lot more opportunity to meet a cute boy here than at home in Australia. No offense to Australian boys, but you know what I mean. I just see so many people on Instagram being so cute together and it's not okay. But I won't settle. I'd rather be single forever than settle. So that's why I'll continue imagining. That's what I do best, okay? I'm a writer. That's what I do. Somebody asked, what is something that is essential to writing a good story? Actually, when I think about it, I think what's essential in stories is where characters influence other characters, specifically. In a lot of my books, if you guys don't know, I have a lot of all my books have like two main characters and they're like the whole story. And in most cases, I have like one main character out of the two, but then this main character is like the foil. Like, they really do change the other character's life, and that's like something that I can't live without. So that's why I continually write like Project Prison, Project Orchestra, definitely with Alex and Lewis. Just like all of my projects. So cool. Anyways, that's what I think is essential. Oh my gosh. Someone asked, need a story time about the cat and gaining his trust. If you guys don't know, I'm in a homestay. I'm staying with a family in the Netherlands as I study, and they have 3 adorable cats. I'll see if I can have a photo of all of them. And Antoine's the one in question. I gained his trust and he came to me this morning. He came to me this morning and sat on my chest and was purring, and I there's nothing like gaining a cat's trust. Basically, he was just a cute cat. And the way I love him so much is because he reminds me of my first ever cat called Jinxie, and he looks exactly like him. So I have such a soft spot for Anton. And I've only been here for like a week, so I just feel so happy. Somebody did ask, how was it getting feedback on Go Side and getting an editor, basically. And I do have a whole video. I have a vlog and also a video talking about how editing's really hard and how editing sucks, basically. And I have that linked in the iCard if you guys want to check that out to get my full thoughts. But it was really interesting. I really do appreciate her so much. Like, she's helped me make the book a lot better, and I think I just needed that. Like, even any editor, I needed that. And I just think it's really just helped me kind of logically think about my book and logically think about expanding the story. And I think the one thing that I shared in the video, I think, was that she was telling me about, because I was asking her, like, I'm really scared about the prose and how terrible the writing seems and how it's so bland and just like normal and not pretty. And she said, it's okay, like the genre you're writing, it makes sense. So don't worry about that. And that gave me such closure. So I don't know, get an editor. They can help you in so many ways you don't expect to, but I really appreciate beta readers and people who give me feedback, because feedback is so important. Like, especially for beginner writers like me, I feel like I'm still a beginner. Feedback is a necessity. I was like necessary. It's a necessity and it's necessary. Okay. I feel like I've been talking for a while, so drink break, everyone. Whew. These questions take a lot of brain power, so I hope you're enjoying the video so far. Anyways, let's continue. How do you get that true passion feeling when writing? Oh, that's a good question. Look, sometimes it's really difficult. I feel like I get my most passion through brainstorming, and I think this is definitely a big writer thing, which is quite common among writers, is when you're creating the story and the seed of the story. That's when you get the most passion, because you have so much opportunity and everything seems possible, and that's when I really do adore writing my book. So I think going back to the drawing board every now and again, going to your Pinterest page, going to the vibes, picking out like particular quotes from your book, that's how you get really passionate. But while writing, it's really difficult. I think editing's a little bit different than actually writing, but when I get passionate about writing, usually it's when I'm writing really cool scenes or cute scenes or scenes I've just like, you know, when you get, it's literally that. When you get to that part in your book, which is like the scene you first imagined, and it's like, oh my gosh, it's coming. And usually I have like a couple scenes like that. For example, Project O with that train scene. If y'all know. I think it was like a live YouTube live I did, and I was telling you all about the tea that happens on that train station between Alex and Lois. Ooh, so good. And y'all don't even know like the whole backstory. That was like something I was really looking forward to, and that like hyped up the passion a lot. So that's an example. Another good question is, what do you think all of your projects have in common? A message or some idea? And I did share this in my recent vlog. Go check that out. I talk all about Project Samson, which is, my post-apocalyptic dystopian story. And I realize a lot of my books have flight and bird imagery. Even that secret project I'm working on, that is literally all about flight. I wish I could share it with y'all, but I can't because I know I would regret it. You know, there's something sacred about keeping a baby close. Okay. Anyways, flight and birds is something I'm just obsessed with. And I was talking about the Hitchcock film called The Birds, and how that probably triggered something in me. My sister showed it to the whole family and we were all traumatized. But I love birds, especially the birds here. I'm like looking outside my window. I see like birds in the sky and they're just so beautiful, especially blackbirds here. I've never seen a blackbird in my life and they're so beautiful. And of course, Project Blackbirds, another imagery, but flight and birds has become, I don't even know why, I'm just fascinated by birds and flight. And I think it's extremely beautiful in prose and explaining, metaphors and everything like that. So yeah. Next question is, what's the next book you plan to publish? Oof, that is such a big question. I literally don't know. I kind of want it to be a fantasy book though. And I don't know which fantasy book again, but we will see. And then I've been talking a lot about publishing my 2 other novels, which are quite similar to Project Ghostside, which is Project Prison, which I lost, by the way, if you guys didn't know, I lost that whole document. And then my other project, I First Met You in a Graveyard. I really want to self-publish those 2 books, so I don't know which will come first. I think I want to try to work on self-publishing those while I'm going to be going back into the querying trenches because I want to be a hybrid author and be a traditional published author maybe for my fantasy books, because how else am I gonna get a job? We will see, but I don't have any plans right now, just focusing on the first book, okay? Someone asked, what is my favorite book of all time? And why? I have so many favorite books. I love The Trial by Franz Kafka. I love The Clockwork Orange. And then I also do love Pear and Essay by Susanna Clarke, and also Over Newton by Isabel Carmody. That's a lot of books, but I love all of them. I love the first 2 because they're extremely philosophical to me and they are so hard to understand, and I love them and what they say about society. I think they're like the 2 books that I'm obsessing over as a law student. And then the second 2 books are much more like fantasy, and they're the types of books I dream to publish and write someday. Check those out. Somebody asked, what are you most proud of in Ghostside? And very good question, very sweet question. I think the most thing I'm proud of with Ghostside is my portrayal of emotions. When Tiana was reading my book, she did really tell me how well I explained or like wrote a panic attack, for example, that happens in the book with Red. And I was just like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. Because I feel like those sorts of experiences are really hard to write and to kind of put into perspective and represent it in a way. So there's lots of like repetition that I tried and experimented with. There's like underline of words, especially the journal entries that I write during the book, which there's 4 journal entries. I think I did a pretty good job, and I'm very, very proud of the way I've portrayed it, and Tiana kind of reinforcing that really made me so happy, because I wasn't really trying hard with that. I was just trying to write the story and seeing that like, hey, that's actually the biggest part about the story is the emotions that Red is feeling. I think that's the most proud thing I'm proud of, and I'm just so excited to see what you guys think. I just hope it isn't too deep for y'all. I was writing in a cafe yesterday with a friend, and I was explaining to her what was happening in like a journal entry, and she was like, oh my gosh, the mother did what? Or the mother was saying what? I'm like, yeah, it's pretty messed up. And she's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, yeah. That's so funny, but I love my book so much, so slay. The last question is, if you could describe your book in 1 word, what would it be? And that's a really good question. I need to think about it for a while. In terms with Ghostside, I would say inevitable. Maybe because I just love that word, but inevitable, maybe. I think you'll understand when you read the book, but that's how I would describe my book. Anyways, everyone, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed this little Q&A. I really did spill a lot of tea, literally, and I hope you enjoyed and just like chilled out with me. So many questions, so many good questions, and thank you so much everyone who participated. I just love this video, and I got all ready and I was just like, this is literally the video, this is all I'm doing today, is filming this video. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I love you all, and I wish you luck in all your projects. But yeah, love you, and I hope to see you in my next writing video. Bye everyone.
Beautiful people.